Hello, this session is all about navigating around the Twitter app. I'm going to assume, for the purposes of this session, that you are unfamiliar with navigation, so I'm going to cover the absolute basics. If you are comfortable navigating around Twitter on the app, then there may be some little things in here that are useful to you, but you're very welcome to skip on to another session. So I said, this is navigating around the Twitter app running on a smartphone. In this particular case, this is an iPhone. If you're running the Twitter app on an Android phone, it may look slightly different. Some of the options may appear in different places. And also in the future, if you're looking at this course in the future, again, they may be in different places and have a slightly different look and feel. There may even be different options because Twitter is continuing to evolve. I'm recording this in early 2022. As I said, running on an iPhone. So, basics of navigation. When you fire up the app, this is what you're presented with. You're presented with your Twitter news feed or your Twitter timeline. And these are the tweets that are being shown to you by Twitter. I'll go into the details of the timeline in another session. And we'll talk about the algorithm and how Twitter decides what to show you and your options around that, again, in a different session. But this is the timeline. So just scroll down quickly through a few tweets. So there's the top tweet here from NASA, Sun and Space. It's taking up the whole screen in this case with some images. Scrolling further down, then you can see there's a tweet from Twitter for Business. This is an advert. I can tell it's an advert because it says promoted down at the bottom. And then there's some other tweets as I go further down. So these are tweets coming through from people that are accounts that are being followed by the account that I am using for this training session. Remember, the account that I'm using for training is not my main account. It's an account that exists purely for training purposes. Okay, so let's look at the navigation. There are 5 options across the bottom of my screen. There's a little house symbol, the home symbol on the bottom left, and that's marked in dark. And if I tap on that, it's got a little dot against it as well. I'm already on the home screen. If I click on home, it jumps me to the top of my newsfeed or timeline. The second icon across on the bottom of the screen is the magnifying glass, which is search, Twitter search. So if I go into Twitter search, just tap on the magnifying glass and immediately opens the search screen. And it's immediately choosing to show me some information, some current news stories. There's an advert there at the top, a video ad. And there are also various tabs. So currently I'm looking at the For You tab. Then there's a trending tab and a COVID-19 tab and a news tab and so on. Again, I will cover search in a different session. So this is just a quick look at the navigation. So Twitter search, and then if I actually want to search for something in Twitter, a particular word, then I click on the search Twitter box at the top, and it comes up with showing me some recent searches. And let's say that I want to search on small business. I start typing and it immediately comes up with a whole variety of search options. Do I want to look at small business idea, small business share? Do I want to look at small business Britain? Again, I said I'll cover search in detail in a separate session. So I'm going to cancel out of that. Now we're looking at the navigation, the options across the bottom of the screen. So the third option across, the one that's in the middle, the 4 dots, tap on that. And this takes me into Twitter Spaces. Twitter Spaces are relatively new. Remember, I'm recording this in early 2022. Twitter Spaces are an audio environment. They are virtual rooms where you can speak and people can listen to you. If you're familiar with Clubhouse, there was an app called Clubhouse, which became popular in 2021, and the Twitter Spaces very much take the Clubhouse idea. I'll cover Spaces in a separate session, but that's what that particular option does for you. It takes you into the Twitter Spaces. So going across the bottom of the screen, we've got the 4th icon across, which is the bell symbol. So tap on the bell. And this takes me into notifications. What are notifications? Notifications are where Twitter's notifying you. I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of notifications from other social media systems, where if somebody likes what you're doing or someone starts following you or someone leaves a comment or something like that, you get a notification. And that's exactly what this is telling me. So if I just tap on the All tab for notifications, it tells me, it's going to show me here a lot of different notifications that are relevant to my particular account. Remember, this is a training account, and it's not a lot of activity on this training account. I don't use it for anything other than training purposes. So it's relatively quiet, and there's a bit of a mixed bag of what happens there. So someone has chosen to follow this particular training account, as you can see there. Darren has decided to follow it. I suspect that's an automated follow. I don't suppose Darren actually in person decided to follow it. Because if you'd read the bio, you'd see it's a training account, and actually it isn't really worth following. I'm certainly not going to follow back. So we get to the fifth option across the bottom there, which is the envelope symbol, bottom right. Tap on that. And this goes into the direct message system. So direct messages are private tweets. These are, again, you're probably familiar with direct messaging in other or messenger messaging on other social platforms. And this is exactly the same thing. These are private messages between this account and other accounts. And looking down there, I can see that all the dates are really quite old. The most recent one at the top is 2017. So no one's messaged this account for a good while, and no surprise, as it's training. But if I go into one of those, so let's choose the Weymouth Museum one, tap on there, and you can see there's a conversation displayed on the screen. Okay, someone saying, "Can you please call Sam?" Okay, so that's the navigation across the bottom of the screen, the 5 different icons. Just a couple of other options here. So let's go back to home. Press the home icon in the bottom left. And there are 2 other navigation pieces I want to cover. There is the plus symbol at the bottom right of the screen. If I click on that, this is giving me the option to write a new tweet. So it's opening the screen where I can start creating a new tweet. Again, I'll cover tweeting itself in a different session, or indeed multiple sessions. So let's cancel that. And the only other option I want to cover here specifically is the one in the top right, which is the 3 little stars. And what do the 3 little stars mean? Well, tap on there, and it's telling me that my timeline is set to home. And I can switch to the latest tweets. Latest tweets show up as they happen. I'll be covering this again in detail in a separate section where we talk about the algorithm and how the algorithm chooses what to show you. But just very briefly, Twitter has an algorithm which decides which tweets to put into your timeline based upon a whole range of factors, such as who you follow, how interested you are in particular subjects, how often you engage with people, and also it throws other stuff into your timeline that it thinks you may be interested in. That's one way of looking at Twitter. Another way of looking at Twitter is to say, I just want to see the tweets from the people that I'm following, and I want to see all the tweets, please. And that's what Switch to Latest Tweets does. Switch to Latest Tweets says, I will show you all the tweets, the most recent tweets from the people you're following, and I won't be putting suggestions and things like that into your Twitter timeline. And you can switch between the 2. So you can go to Switch to Latest Tweets. As I said, I'll be talking about this in more detail in a different session. So that's the most recent tweet from people that I follow. It's the one at the top. Actually, no, it's not the most recent. It says new tweets. So I'll tap on new tweets, jump up to the top. There we are. The most recent tweet from people I follow is the one from Enterprise Nation at the top, which was tweeted 20 minutes ago. I can jump back to the timeline based upon recommended tweets by switching back to what's called home. So switch to home. Home tweets are recommended for you. So there we are. That's the quick introduction to the navigation around the Twitter app. I hope that was useful. Remember, this recording is just a test recording for the purposes of starting to get some training materials going. So it'd be great to hear your feedback, what you think about this particular session in terms of the speed, in terms of the quality of the audio and the visuals, what sort of questions came to mind that I didn't answer immediately. Now, obviously, the fuller training course will cover lots more answers, so I can't answer everything right away. Anyway, your feedback will be appreciated. Thank you very much.